What's going on, everybody? Let's get into the good, the not so terrible, and the bad of the Halo series. And with that, we're also going to talk about what could come in Season 2 to make it just a little bit better. All right, first and foremost, let's talk about the good, the action. Wow, yes, it was limited and not nearly as to the scale that I would like it to be. There was a lot of promise in what they can do with the action sequences in this show. And I really think that what little we got, well, again, it was just not enough. I think we could be in for a real treat in Season 2, and if it continues past that second season. Next up is Cortana. People were so upset about her design when it was first shown that I think people already wrote off the character almost immediately. But I feel it really worked for this show and this setting. Not only that, though, Jen Taylor, I mean, come on, Jen Taylor delivered as usual as the highly intelligent and ever-learning AI. I can't wait to see what they do with Cortana moving forward. Next up, one that I actually am really shocked about that I have on the good side, but Dr. Halsey. This was truly the one aspect I was most concerned about going into the show. The actor Natasha McElhone, I have not been a fan of hers really at all. But this show, I gotta say, she pulled it off. She did a hell of a job as Dr. Halsey in this show. And she was on point as the creator of the Spartan 2 program. From her shady and conniving tones to her compassion towards her Spartans, I think she was superb, and I really am looking forward to what they bring in Season 2 with her. Now, let's get into the not-so-terrible side of things, which, again, this isn't saying that it was horrible, but I am interested to see what they do with some of these things. For one, Soren. I was really hoping for more going into this season, especially when we saw him in the trailer. The fact that they added him with the whole Quan storyline, I think that took away from what we could have gotten with Soren. He wasn't utilized enough, and he was the best part of that story that he was in with Quan. I think it really comes down to me just wanting to see more of him. Hopefully in Season 2 they really dive in and give us more Soren. Not too terrible. This might be a little controversial, but I really did not hate the Maquis character and what she brought to the table. I get the distaste for the character by some of the Halo faithful, but I really was okay with what they were doing in this new direction. And the show was really trying to set up something different, to set itself apart from the video games. And I was okay with what they did with Maquis. Honestly, I really enjoyed Miranda Keyes in this show, and the fact that we didn't get enough of her is why she kind of fell into the not terrible side and not the good side. I honestly, this might be an unpopular opinion also, but I think this version of Miranda Keyes is better than what we got in the video games. So, if they continue that route in Season 2, I think we're in for a real treat with her. The biggest thing for me when it came to Miranda was her interactions with both her mother and her father, something we didn't see in the video games. And I think that's what really helped push her character into being just more fleshed out and more interesting. And then sticking with that family, Captain Keyes, I feel there's more to him that needs to be explored in this show. His relationship with Halsey and his part in the Spartan program, I don't think was touched on enough. And that's really disappointing, because if you've explored the lore of Halo, you realize how integral and how big of a part he played in the Spartan program. And the fact that we don't get really much of that at all in this show is kind of disappointing. And I do hope that they follow a similar story with him in the games and how he comes to die and his demise and all that. I hope they follow that, but I don't want to get to that point until we fully explore his backstory. Now to the bad. Quan Ha. And simply put, all but one aspect of her story was completely pointless, and that was at the very end of her story that we got in Season 1, where we realized there is a portal on Madrigal that she'll be able to take, whether it's John or the UNSC to at some point, or Dr. Halsey, whomever it is. It was just a really pointless story to put in there. I really thought that they were going to go for her being the humanization that the viewers would be able to connect to through the story. But they just took off Master Chief's helmet a whole bunch, and there was our humanization. So I don't understand what the point of her was in this show. but it was a little disappointing. Where was the Covenant conflict? Yes, it was there kind of in the background, but I think they focused too much on this whole John Halsey aspect, which is really cool, but that should not have been the front of the story. That should have been a side story, while the Covenant War, the battle between the human race and the Covenant, was at the forefront. And I think that's part of why a lot of people did not enjoy this show. The CGI and the special effects, I know it's a television show, but there was so much motion blur in this show and the action sequences. It was jarring and off-putting at times, and that's really disappointing, because when you take a look at what shows are able to do, take a look at Game of Thrones, take a look at things on HBO Max that they've been doing, they have the ability to give you film quality action. For some reason, they just didn't do it here, and it's really disappointing. And let's not forget to mention how bad the Spartans looked at times. It was really, really jarring. The lack of Halo weapons and vehicles. Yeah, we got the assault rifle. I think there was a point in time when we saw the battle rifle. I know we got one of the versions of the Magnum, but honestly, there wasn't much to the weaponry from the Halo lore that we got to see. We saw energy sword and a needler. I don't even remember if we saw a pulse rifle. I really, there should have been moments where I'm like, hey, that's that. Hey, that's that. We got a Warthog. We got a Pelican. We didn't get many of the vehicles either, which is really disappointing. So I hope in season 2 they expand on the weaponry and the vehicles. Why did we not see a Ghost in that conflict, in that battle with the Covenant that we saw? Why was there no Ghost there? Like that would have been superb. I would have loved to have seen that. So hopefully season 2 gives us some scorpions, some mongooses, some ghosts, some dropships, some choppers. Just give us all of it. We need it all. That's what we want. And finally, for the bad, the Halo. How is it after 8 episodes of a show called Halo, we don't see the Halo? And don't give me this bullshit that we saw this dream vision sequence with Maquis and John, and we saw the Halo in the background. No, I truly believe they missed an opportunity here for them to. The buildup of the first 7 episodes or first 8 episodes is getting to the ring, getting to Halo. And even if the last shot of the episode was seeing the Halo in the distance, that would have been better than what we had here. So what do we want to see for season 2? Well, no more Quan, or in a limited role where she gets written off. I'm sorry. She was just that bad that I don't want to see her anymore. I don't want to see that story anymore. It's not interesting to me. And I unfortunately know they're going to give it to us, but I don't want to see it anymore. It served no purpose. And that's not why fans were tuning in to this show when they were tuning in. Of course, I know a lot of people started tuning out of it, but maybe it's because of her. Less of John's face. And I wasn't one of those ones who was against seeing John's face, but I want to see the Chief from the game. I want to see the stoic and quiet warrior that the Spartan, or that all the Spartans are, but mainly what Master Chief is. Keep Maquis dead. I think they're going to have a interesting conversation on whether they should bring Maquis back. And that being that we're in the sci-fi genre, anything is possible. They could find a way to bring her back, but I don't think they should. I think they need to keep her dead. And that's very important, because if you don't keep her dead and you bring her back, I think that kind of ruins the possibility for the Cortana Master Chief relationship to flourish. And that is what is at the heart of the Halo franchise, at least in the first 3, 4, 5 games, was that relationship that John and Cortana were building. So if you bring Maquis back, you're gonna lose that possibility there. I also think that they need to quickly, unfortunately at this point, I think they need to quickly introduce the Halo in the first episode of season 2. That way the rest of the season can be about exploring, destroying, and escaping it. Again, that is a huge part of Halo, and the fact that we haven't even seen the Halo yet just worries me that season 2 is going to be drawn out once again and not get us to the Halo until the final episode. I hope they don't go that route, but I guess it is possible. And I do get the desire to stay separate from the main continuity, but we need to see similar beats happen to keep the fans of the games coming back and watching. The Fall of Reach, which should have been in the first season, the relationship between John and Cortana, the ring exploration. That all needs to be done in this season. They really need to start setting up the major beats that we've seen in Halo to get the fans of Halo to be invested in this show. Yes, changing it up, bringing in a new crowd, getting new people interested is one thing, but you can't forget about the heart of what Halo is. And they also need to give us more Halo weaponry and vehicles and just go nuts with a few battles, like absolutely nuts. Give us like a 10-15 minute battle between the Covenant and the UNSC. Again, that needs to be the forefront of the story. That needs to be the main plot point, is the UNSC defeating the Covenant. That's what it needs to be. And if you really think about it, that isn't all that much that I want to see happen in season 2. While I didn't love the first season, I didn't hate it either. I am still invested, 100% invested. And, I have to say it's enough for me to come back for season 2. But if they continue to go in the current direction that they're going, if they decide to do a season 3, they're definitely going to lose me, because it just doesn't feel as much. It doesn't feel like Halo as much as it should. Let us know in the comments what you think. What were the things that you liked about the first season? What are the things that you hated about the first season? And what do you want to see happen in season 2? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure you hit that like button, smash subscribe, or smash that like button, hit subscribe, whatever it is you want to do, in any direction, any way you want to do it. But with all that said, everyone, I'll talk at all of you later.